Thank you very much, Roger, for that introduction. So I have the after lunch crowd here. And part of my talk track is around TCO models and numbers. So hopefully I can keep this lively. So I am with Verizon. I'm with Verizon Enterprise. So I want to make it clear I'm not with Verizon, the phone company. So we get that quite a bit. But I just want to kind of set the stage there. I'm going to focus on two things today. So the first thing I'm going to focus on is inspiring you to think about, based upon the observations in some of the initiatives that we built in the market with Oracle, how to consume Oracle database technology a little bit different, given the shift to cloud. And I'm going to share with you, the second thing I want to talk about is share with you some of the TCO models and some of the experiences that our customers are having with these new services from Verizon. So, I'll do a little bit of refresher on Verizon Cloud. There's been some significant announcements lately for Verizon on this particular service, so we'll explore that a bit as well. Does that sound good? Yeah. All right, you guys ready? Okay. So real quick, so Verizon is absolutely dedicated and committed to delivering on the promise of virtualization and new cloud computing and consumption models. So as a part of our strategy, we look at four things. We look at applications, driving workloads. So we stay very, very close to helping our customers with data center consolidations and have a real deep understanding of how data center architectures and application architectures are shifting with the cloud. So deep knowledge there, and I'll expand on that. And we're really zeroing in and dialing in on workloads. And my talk track will address specifically Oracle workloads. So the second pillar of our strategy is really around clouds that interconnect and federate. And you heard this from Cisco yesterday as well with their intercloud initiative. But it's very true. So I don't know if you saw the recent announcement. So Verizon announced SCI, or Secure Cloud Interconnect. So that's where we opened up the footprint of our private IP footprint globally to Amazon and Azure platforms. All right, because we absolutely recognize that there's going to be a need to go between clouds. We also have very deep expertise to understand that applications are going to need to make calls, outbound calls, to resources that may not be available in Verizon Cloud or associated with Verizon Cloud. Right? So we have core expertise in understanding how fast those connects need to be, what type of connects need to happen, right? What systems they're connecting to put the right capabilities and services in place with Verizon Cloud. The fourth element of our strategy is really around security and managed services. It still matters more than ever. And I think I also heard that in the previous discussion as well, and some of the considerations that you look for from service providers. Right? So for years and years, we've delivered to enterprise customers, and actually enterprise companies of all sizes, right, a predictable operating model in terms of SLA, whether we're managing the OS on behalf of the customer, whether we're managing devices, or helping our customers get more value out of the network. And it's mitigating risk, and that's core to our business model. And a key differentiator for us, and that part of our strategy is the networking component, because I think you're going to see a lot happen there. So, and the last element is really around private clouds. So I think many folks here in this room may be familiar with Verizon Terramark, through our Terramark acquisition, which is a public cloud offering. But you may not be familiar with the fact that we actually have three offerings. So we have the public cloud, which is swipe your credit card capacity. And that's fine. I think as a company, we recognize the capacity game was over about 7 years ago with Azure and AWS platforms. So we have that component. We've invested in providing very valuable services there. And it's actually those services that we offer subscription access to Oracle on, which we'll explore. All right? But we also offer virtual private cloud. So, and that's three different options with that, which includes reserved pools or specific performance gains, again, driven by the workload. And then we offer private cloud options. And then this is really born out of our experience in our federal business, right? So it's either on-prem, private cloud, or off-prem. And for some of the more complex workloads and the requirements for our global enterprise customers, that's absolutely demand. And we're seeing significant shift in spend there, right? And significant interest in working with Verizon to help build those and build off of existing private cloud deployments. Okay? So that's a quick baseline. So I want to just dial back into the applications and workloads. I think this is going to set the stage for the rest of my talk track. So this is Verizon's point of view around applications and workloads. So if you look at the slide here, we recognize absolutely that an application or a workload or data represents some sort of business value to the enterprise. It serves some purpose. So if you move more to the right of the slide, what we've discovered is different workloads and different applications get more complex, right? They become more multifaceted. They have more attributes that include cost, performance requirements, user access. Perhaps they're workloads that are integrated with business processes, or they're integrated with systems across different geographical areas. All right? So at Verizon, how we look at a workload is by those specific attributes. What cost does it need to be? What level of programmability does it need to have? What type of connects? What's the security level? Right? Private IP, public IP. Not all IP is going to fit on public cloud, and we know that, but we have the capability for that. And based on those attributes, we work with our customers to score them, understand where they're at in the evolution, where they're at in automating some of those, even if they're appropriate for virtualization, if they're appropriate for cloud, and put the right systems in place to support those workloads. Okay? So that was, I'm drilling down on this because that was a big topic in the last discussion for those of you that were here, is really challenging your service providers like Verizon to understand how we score that. I'd be willing to talk more offline about that as well. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? All right. So one of the attributes was really around cost. Okay, so again, as a part of the talk track here, I want to explore our Oracle services offering. So about a year ago, Oracle and Verizon got together and trying to figure out, working with Oracle, how to provide more elasticity around Oracle database licensing in the market. So I don't think it's a secret that Oracle's been under a lot of pressure, right, to look at different models, right, different ways for their customers to consume the technology. So quite simply, what Verizon offers in our public cloud offering as well as our managed services is subscription access to Oracle licenses. There's no contract. There's no maintenance fees associated with that offering. Okay? So it's pretty simple. So beyond cost avoidance and the OpEx discussion, right, the value to our customers is very simple. Just significant agility for many organizations. And in the use case, the most common use case actually is dev and test, which I don't think that's a big fat huge surprise, right? So, but for IT leaders who own their application or development footprints, this is very welcome relief to get access to capacity that they need, or be able to spin up an Oracle database. And developers love to spin up lots and lots and lots of databases, right? But also spin it down and use it temporarily, okay? And I'm going to talk through some of the use cases, and I'm actually going to use some of our customers as an example to give you guys more visibility to what we're really seeing there. So, but at the end of the day, what I have seen is a huge global Oracle sales organization relentlessly focused on conditioning the market and conditioning customers to upgrade the ULA or ELA. Vicious cycle, I say. Vicious cycle. It's led to database sprawl. It's led to unnecessary shelfware, right? It's led to customers that are sitting with features that they don't necessarily need, but they're afraid of end of support. All right? And that's the problem that we look to solve. Now, for Oracle, it's a new revenue stream, right, through Verizon, right? Maybe some of the mid-tier markets, right, that it may not be interested in writing a big, fat, huge check for a pool of licenses, upfront capital, that they may not use all the licenses, but more interested in actually dialing into the number of licenses they need. That's the shift that we're seeing in the market. Oracle's seeing it, and so are we, right, with the licenses. And I suspect, I'd like to explore this further with some of the folks here, is what you're seeing as well. That's what I'm seeing. Some developers and some organizations are used to having free VMs, free virtual machines, right? So it's coming. We're definitely seeing a shift. So let me introduce some of the work that we did with Forrester. So this work that I'm going to expose as a part of the talk track was an independent study that we commissioned with Forrester. Forrester interviewed a footprint of Verizon customers who have been up and using the Oracle services for a number of months. And we worked with them to build two different models, okay, which I'm going to share with you today. Okay, the first model is a Oracle perpetual license cost compared to a Verizon Oracle subscription database license cost. So subscribing or renting versus buying outright. That's the first model they built. The second model they built was a TCO model, all in. So which includes infrastructure, labor, and a lot of overhead. All right, so we're going to dig into those numbers. Okay, and it's just thrilling, page turner. So, but it revealed a lot of different dials and a lot of hidden costs, that our customers did not expect when spinning up Oracle databases, right? And really helped to quantify for them not just the soft costs, the fact they can move faster by renting from Verizon, right? But really the hard impact and numbers that they're spending, right, for maintenance environments and development environments that they may use 4 months out of the year or 6 months out of the year. Okay, that's the cost structure we're looking to attack. So this is one heck of a pretty infographic. So I think our marketing folks got a hold of this slide. It kind of looks like it's like Forrester as a service coming out of the cloud. So anyway, so let me just quickly cue up the study that we did. So we asked, Forrester actually interviewed our customers and asked them a couple of questions. They said, okay, for renting Oracle licenses on Verizon Cloud, what did you expect to get out of the service? Okay. What were your alternatives if you didn't have subscription access to Oracle licenses? And what were the cost considerations for this? And why was this important to you? Okay. So as a part of the study, those are the conversations that Forrester had with our customers. So the first customer is the use case that I want to share with you is with a company called Day at the Beach, or DATB. So they're a small custom application development shop based out of the UK. They actually develop applications for very large enterprises and government organizations out of the UK and throughout Europe. So in this particular use case, this really exemplifies the fact that Mark Bushman, who actually is the principal owner of the company here and the systems integrator, he wasn't looking to buy a boatload of perpetual licenses from Oracle, but yet he had to write a check every quarter to Oracle, about $20,000 a quarter of upfront costs, just to make sure he had the right database footprint to maintain a lot of the testing and development for the applications he's working with his customers. And the environment actually was really for rapid prototyping. So DATB was not an existing Verizon customer. So this is a net new customer for Verizon. And a part of what attracted him to the service in the first place was the fact that we can offer him very granular view, besides just the infrastructure and access to the compute capacity. Right? We can find a granular view of how many licenses he was consuming. So his application developers and the very lean team that he had spent some of their time making sure they were on the right release of Oracle, or patching the OS, right, or maintaining and making sure they had the right compute capacity available for the prototype environments. He didn't want those resources doing that, right? So beyond the cost savings and cost avoidance of not having to write the check for Mark and his business, the fact that he was able to rent capacity from Verizon as a much lower cost gave him a more flexible margin profile, right? Because he had his guys more customer-facing, right? And they weren't spending their time maintaining the underlying infrastructure. So that was huge for him. That was huge, and it really ensured that for his business, he was on the most current release of Oracle technology, Oracle database technology. Excuse me. The second customer is Jetblue. So in our experience in working with Jetblue, I have found that their CEO is such an incredible leader. He looks at IT as very transformational. So we made a recent announcement with Jetblue. They've been a customer for a long time. So about 60% of Jetblue's business is done digitally, or via their web applications. That's a significant amount of business. So Verizon has supported his web infrastructure for quite some time, including some of our data center and colocation infrastructure. So Jetblue, in this particular case, the problem we solved for them by giving them temporary access to Oracle capacity was for a series of IT projects that were not originally budgeted but just showed up, right? So there were some customer applications that Jetblue was looking to push live. His developers and the folks that are working on testing the applications could not get the access from the architecture team to the perpetual license to procure the database. So the procurement process in this particular case for Jetblue was weeks. They didn't have enough time. Okay? They just needed to test a few lines of code. All right? So it's really a situation where Tyrone was under his desk in fetal position, mumbling something about how, and Jetblue was extremely customer focused. It's a part of their DNA. So this was an urgent issue. We became aware of our services and said, have at it. You know, and they had absolutely no idea what it cost them to spin up a new database, and they didn't have any processes for shared environments for this particular project. So the value for Jetblue was really around eliminating the lengthy procurement process, right? But actually relieving them and providing the agility which I spoke of in the beginning of the presentation. Let's dig in here, folks. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm actually going to expose some of the numbers from the model. Now, it's a lot of numbers, so I'm going to take you through these slides very slowly. So don't get scared, all right? Because there's another slide coming up after this which gives you a deeper view. So, now if we start with the rows, row A1 represents the cost of renting Oracle license capacity from Verizon, okay, via Verizon Cloud. So in this case, it's Oracle Database 11G Enterprise Edition, all right? So it's based on a monthly fee for 6-month usage. So you have the cost of actually the license itself to rent the license as well as the infrastructure. The row below that, A2, is actually buying it outright. So renting or buying. Okay? That's how you read the slide. Let's look at the columns. So we're going to zero in on the cost breakdown. So I'm going to take you through each of those across those two scenarios, right? Renting versus buying. I'll go ahead and give you more transparency to what those numbers are. The model actually was built based upon a 3-year depreciation cycle where we exposed year 1 savings for the option of either renting from Verizon or purchasing perpetual outright. Again, I will reiterate, this is just a model. This is not how people in the market today typically procure Oracle licenses today, but I think we're going here. So in this particular model, I think it's very clear, the cost from Verizon, the price tag for renting Oracle capacity, in this case 11G Enterprise Edition, is $30,000, right, for year 1. So the price tag for Oracle, if you were to purchase a one-time purchase price of Oracle license, perpetual license, list price is $190,000. All right, so the discount is based upon a core multiplier from Oracle. I don't know how many folks have actually managed Oracle license procurement. It's pretty complex. So it depends upon, it's actually license per VPU, excuse me, per CPU. And in this case, it was an Intel 4-core processor. So the multiplier in this particular model is 0.5. All right? And then you also take into consideration a 20% license discount. This is very conservative. Why wouldn't it be? Okay, but it is. So I think out there in the market, we run across some models where the discount fee can be anywhere from 30% to 60%, depending upon if you're a partner of Oracle, what the negotiations of your ULA or ELA, the volume of business that you do with Oracle, what you're wearing that day. So it fluctuates quite a bit. And in some cases, too, there's unlimited license for dev and test. In that case, this model may not apply, and that's okay. We found some customers aren't even aware they have unlimited. So that's the first component of two additional components. All right. So the model also looked at about a $16,000 bogey for the maintenance fee, about 22% of the net license fee, and then about $21,000 of the associated hardware and software and labor costs. And I'm going to dig into that last one in my next slide because I think it's going to be very useful for many customers that are currently in negotiations with Oracle for licenses. So if you look at, again, taking those 3 components, the overall license fee, the maintenance fee, and the hardware and labor costs, you're looking at a price tag for year 1 depreciated about $60,000 compared to renting from Verizon. Okay? It's pretty compelling. It is. So if you look at the depreciation based on a 3-year depreciation schedule, right, which is where, you know, in concert with hardware refresh cycles, right, you're upwards of about $114,000 price tag from Oracle for perpetual license. Okay? So you're looking at, if you look at the bottom row there, this is where you really want to expose what we're trying to get to here, you're looking at anywhere from a $30,000 to $80,000 savings by renting, okay, from Verizon. So it's pretty compelling for the customers that we spoke to, and in the conversations with Jetblue, and Lexmark actually was another customer, and DATB, very diverse customer backgrounds and different projects they were working on, they validated these numbers. They said, those look very familiar. And Jetblue was like, oh, that's what we're paying you for. So they had no clue. So it was a really good model for them to expose the value they're getting from Verizon. So let's dig a little bit deeper. I dedicate this slide to all the folks sitting in the back. Okay? So my apology. So more scary numbers. So it's okay. Don't be afraid of the numbers. Just grab the person next to you for emotional support if you have to. But what he wanted to do was make sure that you knew from Verizon that these numbers have integrity. That's what you get from us as a cloud carrier. So I've talked to the first couple of line items that are built within the model, right? That includes the Oracle database enterprise license fee and the maintenance fee. This gives you, as you peel back the onion, you know, in Oracle licensing models here, this gives you a little bit more view of the cost, right? So it's about, you know, $40,000 or $47,000 price tag per processor. Of course, it's discounted. So, but if you look at the average cost for a database server, right, it's about $5,000 for that, for these customers. And there's other costs, too. They were a little bit surprising to them. They had no clue. Again, this is a model. These prices are not absolute. And I will tell you, based on what's happening in the market today, we know that compute capacity is getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. All right? But the numbers are going to change in the model. They absolutely will. And we've anticipated that. But I think it makes it even more compelling to go to a service provider model or an outsource model. So if you look at the OS system license cost, I think it was Linux, Red Hat Linux, and data center overhead facilities costs of about $4,000. And the other bogey, too, is the storage. So that was about $8,000 per year to plug into an existing two-tier storage infrastructure. Okay, so there's a lot of numbers and a lot of details around each of these assumptions, and there's 12 different assumptions if you line them up there. All right, but our customers really appreciate the depth of this, of this analysis, because what it does is it really exposes a lot of the hidden costs. Right, and depending, you know, on how much you want to relinquish, or whether you want to manage some of these, or continue to manage some of these, the databases, the virtual databases in Verizon Cloud on your own, so you can dial these to the different cost structures. Okay. All right. So that was a lot of numbers to consume. So the report actually will be made available to folks if you want to have a look at that. And I do have resources available at the Verizon booth to walk you through the model here. But again, I do want to reiterate, this is just a model. The fact that customers can get quick access and spin up and spin down databases, or even have the flexibility of using perpetual versus subscription to Oracle, was enough for them. They didn't ask us to do this. If we look at the additional demand that, at least that we're seeing in market for renting access to Oracle database technology, especially there's a very slow move to database as a service, it really falls into three use cases, what we're seeing. So in the case of Day at the Beach and Jetblue, and to some extent Lexmark was another early adopter of the services, they primarily use the services for bridging between environments and dev test environments. So that was between different versions. So another use case is bursting. So we've actually seen customers use access to licenses along with the need for additional capacity on a temporary basis. So this could include, end-of-year employee enrollment for internal applications or finance applications, and for some of our retail customers as well. And some bursting they're seeing in some of their production web applications. And then seed labs. So can I get a read of how many folks here have had a chance to kind of dink around with and play with 12c, Oracle Database 12c? Yeah, well, a couple hands only. Interesting. So we do offer 12c as a part of this. So for many of our customers who have entrusted their infrastructure to Verizon, we can just hand them the keys to an Oracle Database 12c database sandbox. And they're playing with it all day long. So it's a terrific use case. I know that I think it's Oracle 11G. I think it's R2, at least 2, is going end of support in January 2015. So I know that there's a very, very large push and very, very deep vested interest from Oracle to move the market to 12c. So we've actually set up our environments to make this happen as well. So we are offering access to 12c. Okay? So the goal here today was really to expose at least some financial models that, if anything, is a part of your negotiations with Oracle, and some different models and cost models of working with a service provider. If anything, I'd invite you to print out a copy of the report and just to beat your Oracle rep over the head with it. Use it as a productivity tool in your own negotiations or considerations as well with your customers, as a new model and quite an emerging model that we see a lot of value in. Okay? So with that, you can access, if you Google the Forrester CI report, you can access it on our SlideShare channel from Verizon. I also have another treat for you. So Verizon just issued the State of the Enterprise report, so I've included the URL to that. It just gives you visibility to a recent research study that we did with our own install base to really help us understand where they're at in adopting cloud. So a couple surprises there relative to the amount of production applications that are on public cloud, on Verizon Cloud today. So it was definitely, we're seeing the shift. We're seeing the shift. So, and then visit us at booth 400. That's your last call to action. All right. So with that, I just want to say thank you very much for your time. I've appreciated. If you have any questions, I'll be available after the talk track here. Enjoy the rest of the expo. Thanks, guys.